What's up? What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages across the world, across the galaxy? What's up, all my beautiful people? Welcome back to the Purpose Pod. The devil tried to stop us. He tried to stop us from coming on the show, but we ain't gonna stop for nobody. Let me stop. All right. Anyway, so DJ Davi just turned up the Purpose Pod once again. Everybody just give him a round of applause. Wherever you are, even if you're driving, just take your hands off the steering wheel and give that brother a round of applause. Just let Jesus take the wheel. But so DJ Davi just killed it with the Purpose Pod mix, and you guys can go follow him on Instagram today. He is the man. So you can also check out his his mix cloud, and you can follow him on Instagram. Go DJ Davi, like go, 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 go. But yeah, so I'm excited about today. I have someone that you guys may not know. She's not even from our area. She's from the A. Hey, but I heard the song in my head when I did it, So Simone Daniels, she's gonna come bless us with her presence and her purpose. And I'm so excited to share her journey, her story, and her business with you guys. Just to let you know, she does have a special class coming up where she's teaching other entrepreneurs or people who want to be entrepreneurs how to start their own tax preparation business. So if you're interested in that, she has 8 slots. So we're going to talk about that today. I just wanted to give that quick introduction, but wait no longer. It is time to bring on Simone Daniels. Woo!
Hey.
What up, Simone? How
Hey,
you doing?
Allen. I'm doing great. Thank you so much. Honestly, first and foremost, thank you for the opportunity to get on
No
this
doubt.
show with your audience, your exposure, and just be able to talk about my purpose and myself. Thank you so much for the time,
Oh,
the
thank you,
platform.
thank you. That's so awesome. It's
Yeah,
almost like you won the Grammy. You was like, I first and foremost want to thank Alan. Thank you for
my
Hey, well,
book.
one day, you look like a singer. Like if I would have saw you like a poet singer person, like you look like you got some dope poems in your mind. Like, give me something real quick.
You
You
know
got
that?
anything? You got
Oh,
anything? What you got?
I got roses are red.
Okay, come on.
Okay, violets are blue.
Our blue. Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, but I'm gonna get my cheese.
Come
And
on,
that's a
and
and that's a
that
haiku.
didn't rhyme at the last part, but
It don't gotta rhyme. That's
it
the
don't gotta rhyme. It don't gotta rhyme. Hey, you
haiku.
got the poet finger snaps too. You got the
Oh Lord. That's interesting though, because I did used to write a lot and I wanted to get a guitar and just do like spoken word. I hadn't to
yeah,
it. Yeah, I wanna do that.
yeah. I mean, you got the look for it. Like you got the dreads coming. Like if I had dreads, and I could possibly pull it off. I am a poet, but I don't look like a poet. People look at me like, oh, you're a poet.
Ah,
But
I don't know what a poet looks like.
like you artsy, like down to earth, like you got
Hmm.
words and knowledge and like passion and all that stuff.
I like that. I like that.
See, it's a compliment. It's a compliment. I wasn't trying to,
Thank you. Oh no, absolutely.
But yeah, so Simone, like you're from the A, and I know DJ Davi gave a good mix for you for the A. He did it. He did
Yeah.
it. He did a good job on that.
That was
Um,
great. It got me really hyped.
yeah, I said, and
I was
there
whew.
was a twerk today, guys. There was a twerk. If you missed it, you got to go back. There was a small twerk, and
Yeah, it was a very small,
it was a
short twerk.
professional small twerk that was
Yeah,
allowed.
because you still gotta celebrate.
Yeah, so you still got to celebrate. You still got to live it up. And like right now, talking about living it up, talking about life in general. How have you been over the last couple of months? COVID came in March and just kind of
Hmm.
shifted our world. How have you been?
Well, actually, for me this year, everything's been like a twilight zone. Like it felt like 5 years in one because every little
Right.
part of the year was so different. But
Mm-hmm.
quite honestly, for me, things have been going well. My business has grown this year. There were a
Yeah.
lot of different hangups with the IRS, so money might have been coming slower or later than expected. But
Mm-hmm.
what I realized is a lot of opportunities were created, and I was able to take advantage of some of those opportunities. So really, for me, things have been good. I've been traveling a little bit more
Yeah.
so like in the States, seeing family. I'm still able to work, so it's really
Mm-hmm.
been good for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know that's that flexibility that you have with being your own business and being a business owner. And like I mentioned earlier, you were going to talk about your class that you have, which you're teaching other people to do the same thing that, which you do, so I think
Yeah,
that's awesome that you're teaching people what you do and how to do it. So we'll talk about that in a little bit, but you just talked about that ability to travel, see family, and,
yeah.
still work, which is awesome gift, so you're doing great during COVID, which is a blessing, and I'm glad that your business is doing well. So congratulations
Thank
on that,
you,
Simone.
thank
Yeah,
you,
no
thank you.
doubt. So when COVID hit, were you nervous? Were you like, were you a little nervous at first, or were you like
Well,
always secure about your business?
as far as business goes, so like yeah, I'm like those are two different questions right there. But
Yeah.
as far as business goes, no, I wasn't worried because I had always had my business set up as a virtual model.
Hmm.
And so a lot of my clients have no issue with working with virtually. And then if some do want to see me in person, then you'll wear your mask or things like that, so it's fine. But
Yeah.
most of my business was virtual, so I knew that it wouldn't be affected that much. But what I
Hmm.
did get affected with, and I didn't expect, was that all those closures of all the offices. The
Hmm.
IRS, it's like they weren't allowed to work on certain files like from home. They had to be
Oh
in the
wow.
office. So there were things that we were like sending them for clients or corresponding with clients, and it just wasn't getting done because there's so much backup and like, nobody in the office. So
That's true. Man, that's
that was
real. So
unexpected. But business wise,
yeah.
it was pretty much the same flow, you
Hmm.
know. So it was good for me.
So how do you handle those hangups? Like where, when it's something that you can't control and you have clients waiting on money, how
Yeah,
do you handle that? How do you manage that?
yeah. The biggest part about that is literally customer care and just customer service. There's
Yeah.
uh there's really no other way to handle that type of things that are like unprecedented. You have no control over it.
Hmm.
Everybody's having to wait. Then the only thing I can really do is try to make sure that my clients feel some type of peace about the fact that I'm actually attentive to whatever's happening. I'm checking in on the status of their situation,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much all I can really do and make sure that they're not feeling forgotten.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
And customer service is number one. My
Yeah.
cousin Chick-fil-A believes that as well. I'm not getting
What?
paid to do that. I'm not getting
Not my
paid to do that.
cousin.
I'm sorry. I should
No,
hey
bro.
look.
Everywhere you go, Chick-fil-A got the customer service down
Chick-fil-A
pat.
got it. It does. Come
They got
on.
like 15 teenagers in the kitchen,
Right.
5 of the window.
And they're happy teenagers. It's like these kids go there and they're like, they're going to bring their A game. Like these are probably like top students.
Yes, or maybe shoot, I'm about to get this $15 an hour,
Right.
and they always
So
got that one old lady in the dining room
in
cleaning
the
up.
dining room, seeing if you need a refill.
Yes,
Hey, but that Chick-fil-A customer service is something that has shifted and changed the food industry because people are noticing, oh man, Chick-fil-A has this consistent customer service besides the fact that they did give me sweet tea today when I wanted lemonade. But outside of that, it's always
at least
consistent.
it's sweet.
That when you bite into that chicken sandwich, it's going to taste like a chicken sandwich. But anyway, we're not going to talk about Chick-fil-A for too long. So but we are talking about customer service, and that's what we're talking about. So if you got confused, we
Yeah,
were talking about customer service and Chick-fil-A. So
and that's
Simone, I
what's
want
paramount and that's what's paramount in my business is customer
yeah,
service. Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, I wouldn't want to work with like, someone with my taxes and they're like short with me or, they don't have the patience, and a lot of people don't understand that as a business owner, you have to lose yourself in a sense. Like you can't be like, oh, if somebody say this to me, I'm gonna punch them in the eye. Like you have to run a business,
Yeah,
so
exactly. You have
so
to
yeah,
remember it's about the customer.
yeah. And that's
You
right,
know
because the
what?
money
You just
is
said
money.
something that made me think about something. You may have been planning to ask me this a little bit later, but
Hmm.
as a black business owner, the main thing, like I think about this so much with like black people wanting to support black businesses and then being frustrated with the lack of customer service from the black
Hmm.
business owner.
Hmm.
And I think that sometimes, like as black consumers, we have to remember we have to try to be patient also with our fellow black business owners
Yeah.
because we might not have the team or the structure to really be able to just handle the situation without putting our own personal situation into it. And so
Mm-hmm.
you got to be patient with us too while we learn how to be good business owners. So
Right.
like both of us are being patient with each other, but keep
Yeah.
supporting Black businesses all
Right.
day.
Facts. And I'm glad you opened that up that way because it's real. And I was going to ask you about stereotypes. I know when we spoke yesterday, we talked a little bit about the stereotypes with,
Hmm.
presenting yourself as a black owned business and, people and also targeting the black community, and
Yeah,
also like, wanting to invest in the black community and help people, come out from that financial slum that a lot of us get in the African American community. We get in this financial slum, and we can't seem to get out. So how has it been for you? As a business owner, saying like, "Oh, I'm a black owned business and I'm targeting black people."
well, so for me, it hasn't, well, as far as I've known, it hasn't held me back from any clients being willing to pursue me or
Hmm.
to try to engage with me. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't know, right? I wouldn't know.
Hmm.
And sometimes I feel like that's not my business. If you feel like you can't engage with me because I put that I'm a Black owned business or I post something that's, hashtagged about something that's important in the Black community, then that's
Hmm.
your business, for you to deal with.
Mm.
But for me, it just brings a sense of pride. And for me, it's important because I have to make that clear because especially with money, Black people, we're really, really like skeptical of banks and
Hmm.
all kinds of things, but that's for good reason because we have a lot of, historical things that have happened. And so we have these like myths that are passed down for why you just don't trust the insurance man, you just don't trust the
Right.
bank. But I
Hmm.
think that's paramount for me to keep mentioning that I am specifically working in a way that's going to benefit Black people in a way, and especially thinking about like what types of things we're up against or what type of
Yeah.
myths that we have. So I want to make that clear. For me, it's like important instead of thinking like, oh, it turns clients away.
Hmm.
I wanted to attract specifically those clients who are looking for a Black business owner.
Mm.
You
Even
know?
if there are other from other cultures, would it like you're serving you're dedicated to the black community, but you're okay with other customers
Oh yeah.
coming to you.
Oh
But
yeah. Absolutely. Look,
right.
money is green.
Yeah, and I wanted to say that I knew what you were saying. Like I knew you were cool with it, but there's people who think that she says black owned business. Like when you put
Yeah.
black owned business, you're saying like, oh, people get. That's why I
Like
asked you
FUBU
because people
for us
say
by
different
us.
things, right?
Yeah.
Was that?
They're thinking like FUBU, like for us by us, but it's like
Yeah, for us
it's
bias.
by us. It's by us, but you can also come and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You
Spread the
can you
wealth
can
around.
invest because
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about this portion, especially with what's going on now. There's a lot of conversations happening right now, and sometimes they're uncomfortable. But I did see like some posts on Facebook, and like there were people upset that black owned businesses were targeting the black community, and it seemed as if they were profiling or being racist, or whatnot. But
Hmm.
I understand what people are trying to say. Like this podcast is black owned. It's legitimately black
Yeah.
owned. I'm a black guy, and I hope that minorities, will invest knowledge and time into this podcast. But if I say black owned podcast, it's not just to say, oh, I want you guys to know I'm black so you can know what it is. It's saying like, hey, this is black owned because there's other things out here that are run by other people, even though there's
Yeah.
black people hosting it, is ran by somebody else, you know.
And there are plenty of other businesses that are specifically targeting us,
Mm-hmm.
but are not owned by us, and none of the cash flow comes back to our community.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's important to know too.
That
Like
part.
where is your money going to after you spend it?
Right. That
Hmm.
part. That part. I'm glad. See, look, we're gonna take our time here because where's your money going? So when somebody comes to you, you're taking time out of your life to also invest back into the black community with any money or whatever you get from your business. And like the course that we're going to talk about later is still opening opportunity because now
Yeah.
if we make her successful, people, like if we grow her business, then she is able to do what Walmart and Amazon and FedEx does, is open the doors to other people to work. Yes,
Opportunities.
she's going to be
Exactly.
successful. Yes, like people get so upset, be like, well, why would I come invest my time into her business and then she's going to be all successful and I'm gonna just be working
Yeah.
for her? No, there's a
Yeah.
season, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. You got to pay it forward.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what I plan to do. So having people employed with my business, that's another way of economic opportunity that I like to do with my community. You know, and so it is about giving back for me. And then especially like time, that's one of the most important resources we have. And
Right.
so I do spend a lot of my time working with clients who can't pay me or
Mm-hmm.
can't pay my fee, but they need my help. And I'm able to give that time because I make money, in
Yeah.
other ways, and I'm able to work from anywhere, so I can actually offer that time. And that's
Mm-hmm.
really what kind of like leads into like my purpose of I always wanted to help people,
Right.
and I always thought that like, well, if I want to help people, I probably won't get paid well because you do it for charity or things
Mm-hmm.
like that, right? And so I essentially tried to find some way to make money so that my time could be spent helping people.
Right. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a good way too. It's a good thing because it's out here and it's needed. And now you have a minority African American Black woman that has this company, this business, doing taxes, and she could help you guys
yeah,
out. So individuals, people. So, and if you guys have question about taxes, and if we have time, we'll also answer those. So put those in the comments, any questions
right.
and stuff. But we're taking a journey right now through Simone's life. So I want to go here. And I'm glad we hit that area right there. Bam, bam. We got that. So I want to go here with what. So when you think about purpose, and as a young person, let's say like high school, finishing up high school, what were you thinking at that moment in time, graduating high school and heading towards life? What was your purpose then?
So I don't at that time I didn't know my purpose. I think that I had kind of drifted a little bit away from what I actually wanted to do at that point because it was constantly the question of how much money can you make.
Mm-hmm.
So when it was time for me to go to college, I had no idea what I was going to go for because it was really like just a totally new world. You don't really know like what you can do out
Yeah.
there. So I knew that I wanted to be a teacher. I remember telling my mom like, hey, I want to be a teacher. I want to go to
Mm-hmm.
school for education. And she's like, but you don't make enough money. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, she's like, what else do you like? I'm like, well, I like math. So I was like, but I don't want to go to school for math. And she's like, well, what about finance? So I'm like, okay, I don't even know what that is at the moment, right?
Yeah.
But it was like, finance sounds cool. I trust my mom. So I went for finance. And once I got there and started learning finance, I started learning about things that was like, well, obviously this can apply to the average person as well, not just businesses. So I just
Mm-hmm.
started learning things that I was like, dang, this could really help my brother. This could really help my sister.
Yeah.
If they knew this, or I wonder if my parents know this or that. So I
Mm-hmm.
started becoming realizing that I could really get back and help people with like how to deal with finances because it's this
Mm-hmm.
whole world that I only learned because I went to college for it.
Right. Yeah.
So what led me like I think that back then, when I used to put, what do you want to be when you grow up? I would
Mm-hmm.
always put a doctor or a
Mm.
teacher. So I
Yeah.
knew that I knew I wanted to teach, and I knew I wanted to help people.
Right.
And I think that somehow, some way, life tends to push people back to what their 5-year old, what do I want to grow up and do?
Mm-hmm.
It puts us back to that, but we might not see it that way.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for me, but maybe
That's
we'll get
real.
into that conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that what I ended up trying to put together is teaching and finance,
Yeah. So
and
so
that's
you
how
already
I got.
had in your mind that you wanted to help people, but you weren't quite sure what vehicle to use to get there or to
Yeah,
do it. Yeah.
yeah,
So
exactly.
so you were able to push your way through college. Was it easy to go through college, or were you like just what was your experience like? Because I know mine was a little rocky.
Was it easy in college? What a question. Like, I mean, I know that I was always the type of person that was like good at school, but like I didn't really like it.
Yeah.
So I pretty much just did what I had to do to get through college. But at some point, I added on accounting So I have a
Mm-hmm.
degree in both accounting and finance.
Yeah.
And once I added accounting, it added me like another year to my career.
Mm-hmm.
Man, by the time I was done, I was so tired of it, Alan. I tell you, I do not like school.
Yeah, I know. Trust me. I know.
Man, I'm
I'm
like,
in it
okay, it's
now.
necessary, but I don't want to do this. I hate
Right.
tests, all kind of stuff. But now I'm at a place where like I'm constantly taking tests for licenses and stuff like that. But I learned
Mm-hmm.
the different like value in having my license versus my degree and different
Yeah.
certifications. But I learned all
Mm.
that after I graduated, and I was like, who lied to me?
Yeah. So you said you learned the difference between like, well, what the big difference was between having your certification and having a degree. Could you talk about
Mhm.
that? Because I know a lot of people push children or people into college, but what were
Yeah.
those other options that you found?
So what I found for me personally was that everything I had learned in finance was was like my degree was saying, hey, you can work for this corporation and do their finances,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't able to actually work with people, with individuals, and that's what the certificate, that's what the license allowed me to do. So the
Mm-hmm.
difference is with I that I feel between college and getting a certification or license is that most of the time when you get a certification or license, you're actually learning like how to do it or like the actual steps that you go through to make money doing this.
Yeah.
Whereas in school, you're learning like these big overarching topics,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes you don't really learn like, okay, but like, what do I need to do
Yeah.
to go
That's
take
real.
these skills and make some money? So, I felt a little frustrated after I graduated because I was like, oh wow, we had so many classes where you could have said, oh, by the way, if you want to do this in personal finance, you just need to get the license. But they never
Yeah.
said that. They kept pushing us more towards like working for these big four accounting firms and all that
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff. And then you're kind of like, oh, wow, I could have been studying and did this license the whole time.
Right. A whole year and a half
Yeah,
versus the 4 years, you
yeah,
know.
exactly. I mean, it doesn't even take a year and a half.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
a lot of certifications are like they may be 40-hour classes, so it's like a week
Yeah.
of 8 hours. Yeah.
So that's why so I guess that's why your course is 6 weeks and you do it, once a week. So you get those hours in during that time. So we're going to talk about the course. I keep bringing it up because I want people to understand that there's a course happening soon. He said,
Yes.
that's good. Degrees are for corporations. Certifications are for people. Ooh, come on. Let's get some snaps. That was
Hey, and that's
powerful.
how you
Yes,
get
that's
to a
true.
point where you
That's what
can
you
work for
said.
yourself. They always
Right.
pay contractors more because they know that you can take your skills somewhere else
Yeah.
and they don't have to train you.
That's real. That's real. Like,
Mhm.
I think about like for engineering right now, they're teaching us, like you said, the overall, the arch, the large portion, and they're not teaching you how to graduate college. And this one guy I interviewed, Robert Turner, he was on here. He's a
Oh
mechanical
yeah.
engineer and he had started his own company, and so like they didn't teach him that though. Like that was something that someone who was always already in the game brought him on, and they
Mhm.
started working together doing their their business. So for those of you out there who have this huge desire to work for yourself, it is possible. So
License
I just want to say
certification.
that. License certification. That's what
Yeah,
we're
I meet a
going to do.
lot of people who are like, yeah, I want to start a business, so I'm going to college for business administration.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to explain this to you. And I it's like, because sometimes it's hard to try to tell this to someone because in their mind it's like, okay, but if I don't go to college, I don't know anything. So how are
Yeah.
you just telling me I start a business now? But it's really
Hmm.
like it's just because we've been so conditioned to feel like you can't get nothing until you get a
A
college
degree.
degree, but really it's you just can't get until you get an education. And you can get
Right.
education in a lot of different ways.
Mm.
It breaks my heart to see so many people go and get that tuition, they going for business administration. And I'm like, don't nobody ask for your degree when you go file your LLC.
Yeah, that's true.
They never
'Cause I
ask.
got one. Yeah,
Right?
that's true. They
They
don't,
never ask.
I like what you said. Like, it's not even the degree; it's the education. Like, you have to have the knowledge and the understanding and being able to comprehend what you're doing. And
Yes.
even like, so the companies like IBM, like they're all about like, man, look, they could come off the street if they want. Like if they know how to do this job,
Hey,
we'll hire them.
right. What
So
can you do?
right, what can you do? So you guys need to think about that. Like, what is it that a lot of people want people to pay for stuff? They're like, oh, they need to pay me. They need to pay me for this. But it's like, well, what are you going to get? Or what are you getting paid for? And what can you do? So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So cool. So the vehicle for you was like, man, I want to help people, and I want to put my hand in some money, I'm just playing. But so with finance, right? And so with finance, a lot of people hear finance and they're like, oh, finance is probably just about finances, you know, and then, I'm just like,
yeah.
well, finance, how much can you talk about over the course of 4 years? But I guess I guess it's just like any other degree, because there's some YouTube engineering stuff that you can learn in like a month, 1 month. So
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
well, hey, the first 2 years are always mainly kind of
wasting
everybody
money,
gets, yeah.
wasting money.
So,
So
yeah.
with your with your passion for teaching, have you ever lost it in the transition of your journey? Like, have you ever lost the passion to teach because people abuse your kindness, or like, was there anything that ever challenged your passion for teaching?
Um, you know, I would say I had a short time period where I was meeting people who I saw clearly needed what I wanted to teach them, but they
Mm-hmm.
weren't in that place where they were trying to hear that.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh no, but I really need you to understand because you have all these kids and I need you to like understand what
Right.
what to do. Don't waste too much time. But
Mm-hmm.
then I did have I wouldn't say a mentor, but just someone who's in the same field. He just kind of mentioned that there was like, three different types of people. There's people who outsource their finances, there's people who handle their finances themselves, and there's
Mm-hmm.
people who don't not worry nothing about it, who aren't really worried about that.
Yeah.
And so basically, it's like I'm really to be looking for the people who are doing it themselves and may want some help, or the people who are actively looking to get help.
Yeah.
Because I will tire myself out trying to beat, a dead horse when people are not listening.
Yeah.
People
You're
just really
right.
aren't in that place where they're ready to let somebody in a little bit so that they
Mm-hmm.
can challenge their thoughts and their habits, But if you're not in that place, it's not gonna work.
Yeah. And that's
Mhm.
real. And I know it may be a people thing in general, or it could be a black people thing where you
Yeah.
don't want a financial advisor because you don't want no one in your pockets. You don't want you don't want a black tax person because you don't want no black person in your pockets. Like, but like people think like that, and I don't know if people knew
Yeah.
that, but people think like that. So
Yeah.
you don't want to waste your time with people that think like that, because it'll hold you up, right?
Yeah, they will. They will. And it'll frustrate you by the time you get to the person who does want your help. Now you're over here feeling bitter because someone else didn't appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
But, I had a good friend that once told me, you can't give away your time and attention. I mean, your time and money, hoping that someone will do something differently with it than what they've already been doing with their own time and money.
Mm.
So if you see that they haven't been trying to make any type of headway in the same way that you're trying to, you can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to go spend this time with you," and hopefully that'll inspire you to. I mean, you can, but you got to be
Yeah.
careful and be guarded about that because your energy is important too. And
Mm.
you know, you're wasted in
Yeah.
the wrong place, and then be mad.
Be mad. Be mad, break your whole business down, throw away your
Right?
books, like you're just mad, so
Yeah.
yeah, I'm done with fooling up with foolish people. Like there's some people out here that are just straight foolish. Like they don't care about your time, they don't care about your money. Like they'll
Yeah.
burn all of it up because they don't care. Like you said, like
Mhm.
the same way people, and I was the same way. Like back in the day, I would burn my money. Like I had to go. I'm still being pruned to this day, but I've learned a lot about money, but I
Yeah.
would just waste it, and then be like, hey, you got can I get $100? You got $50,
Yeah.
and you know,
And then
and,
just yeah, quickly
but yeah,
get rid of that, and
yeah,
then you go find somebody else.
yeah. So that's it's big for us to be, financially stable. And so what do you think is the problem with people and their finances? Like, why do you think people struggle? Is it because of education? I know we talked about that at one
Yeah.
point in time.
Yeah, actually, I do feel like it comes down to a couple of things. I'll say number one, what type of habits your people have, like your family, your parents,
Mm-hmm.
and what they've actually passed down to you. And then just the education of it all, and having an actual understanding of money as a resource. So that's something that I really like to try and push, is helping people look at money as a resource, because I think in the Black community it can be times where we celebrate, not celebrate, what's the word, like we get
Uh,
complacent
mm,
with like having just enough,
yeah.
because we're like, this is what God wanted me to have, and what He wants me to have is just for me, and I shouldn't be, shouldn't want for more.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I want people to just try and look at money as a resource. Like, if you're working towards it for a resource, as a resource, rather than something I gotta get because I have to pay these darn bills and I gotta
Right.
send these dang kids to practice
Yeah.
and all that, then you can look at it in a more positive way. Now you're excited about like what you're actually gonna do to try to attain this resource that you need to make
Yeah.
your life the way you want it to be. But
Yeah.
as far as education goes in school, I mean, it should be everybody should be learning to having a money management class.
Yeah.
Like
Definitely.
that should be like a mandatory every like a graduation class.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a purpose for why they don't do that. Because
Exactly.
I mean, if you just didn't think about it, it's like, oh, we will all be better off if we just put that into schools. So why, if that's an obvious thing to us, wouldn't it be obvious to the folks who make the curriculum? Yeah, it probably
Right.
is obvious to them too. So they just specifically
Mm-hmm.
don't do that. And so they make sure that it only comes from your family. And that's
Yeah.
why I'm like, okay, we need to build on a community Black wealth, because we're gonna have to teach it to ourselves.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
fact. That's a fact. And you're getting a
Mhm.
lot of love with what you're saying over here from the audience out here. Getting a lot of love. So I'm gonna go
Hey.
through these comments, everybody. I'm just putting them up right now, but I'll go through these in a little bit. We're getting some good information right now. We're just driving through. We're driving through purpose, and I'm enjoying this. So
Yeah.
so that education part, and like you said, the schools, like they know, people, whoever writes the curriculum, they know that, man, you know what, these students need to make better financial decisions when they leave here, but they don't. I know when I needed it in high school, because when I went in the
Yeah.
military, I was not ready,
Oh, that's
for
what I
that
was
life.
talking about.
Yeah. Oh, okay. From out of
It
high. Oh
needs
yeah,
to
before you
be.
graduate high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
See, because like in my experience, my sister, I transferred to the school my sister graduated from after she graduated.
Mm-hmm.
But when she was there was a money management class as an elective. By the time I got there a year later, there was no management class as an elective.
Hmm.
It's just weird things like that, that you'll
Yeah.
notice and you'll be like, why not? I mean,
Right.
when there's all these things you want us to learn, I got to get a bank account now. I'm supposed to know
Mm-hmm.
the difference between a bank and a credit union somehow. All of a
Right.
sudden, I got loans and I got to read them because my mama don't want to take a parent plus, because she was like, I ain't doing
Yeah.
that parent plus, not this time. But
Yeah.
now you're reading about all these things and you're 18 or 17, and they
Mm-hmm.
know that they know that. See, when you were like, oh, the people writing the curriculum, they know that kids need to know this. No,
Mm-hmm.
realistically, they know that some of their peers also don't know this. Like, we know that as a nation,
Mm-hmm.
we're not educating on financial wellness. So that's the
Yeah.
reason why we have so many communities out where they are.
Yeah.
But
That's
they
real.
just, instead we take advantage of it, um in businesses, like how you have a check cash place in the
Mm-hmm.
hood next to the liquor store, all
Right.
that kind of stuff. It's like they'll put
Mm-hmm.
that there, but they won't put a bank.
Mm-hmm. Come on,
Actually
Simone.
give you actual access to actual capital and access to personnel who can help you, rather than people who are here to say, oh, you need to cash your check, well, you got to give me 3%. And
Right.
then what do? We just keep on going back instead of finding
Keep
a
going
bank,
back.
or actually, finding some way to like write to our council people that we need a bank in the area. It's a lot of
Mm.
things like that. They sit here and come in our communities, and they are like piranhas.
Yeah.
Then instead of giving us financial education, they just give us these substitutes.
Mm. Man.
Mhm.
Come on now. You should run for Atlanta
Look,
City. Yes.
Look, I'm passionate about us, and I
Yeah.
and I I realized this because when I was younger in high school, before I actually made the decision on what I'm going to go to school for, I
Hmm.
had a friend who they were poor by the standards of, like, income level and how many people in a home, that type of
Yeah.
thing. Their mom made it happen. She made it happen, but she was doing the best she could. She had a low education, but
Hmm.
I remember that she had a job and they offered this credit card, and it was like, oh, you can use this credit card for like the shop inside of the job where you work. I don't want to mention that, and like, oh,
Yeah.
it just come out of your paycheck what you spend. And I already knew that they were struggling, and
Hmm.
for me, even though I didn't know anything about credit, I just immediately was like, that does not sound like a good idea. you
Yeah.
know, like I could just, I'm like, little do I know, but that doesn't sound like a good idea. And that made me just, it kind of clicked at that moment. I remember that forever because
Yeah.
it clicked at that moment. Like, these type of decisions are what makes the difference between our community having like poor people, middle class people, people who are middle class and then lose it all, and
Hmm.
all that stuff, is just knowing how things work and having to be able to make those decisions no matter what your income level is,
Right.
you know?
That's real, man. Simone, I'm letting you talk because you're dropping some. I love what you're saying, and I haven't heard people talking like this online in a long time, and
Ah,
I think, as African American people, I think we are more responsible for our community than the city or the government or any police officers or anybody. I believe that we are the ones who are
yes.
responsible. And I think we've been so conditioned to be poor and broke and barely making it, and I'm getting by, all them bill collectors, like you said, like the person that you was pretending to be. I know her. I've heard her before. Like, oh, like I gotta pay me, yeah, I gotta pay this, and like
Mhm.
money is like having money means that, oh, I got to pay my bills. And that mentality is also a broke mentality because it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I got to pay my bills, but these are the same bills that we created out of our needs or desires. Like we desire to have this, and now we got to pay this, and you don't have the money to pay it. So I ran into that wall 135,000 times over my lifetime. I did not count each time, but I know it had been
Oh
135,000.
my God. It's been a tough existence.
Look, because
Tough fight.
we like, think about it. Like, when I was coming back from Iraq, my money decisions were like poor, right? Because when I was in Iraq, I sent my parents on a cruise. And then when I came back from Iraq, me and my boys was in Charleston, we was in North Charleston, and we went to the mall. Here I am, like 19, 20 years old, with some money that I just got back from Iraq. Exactly. Like I was like, you want some shoes, bro?
He
Okay.
was like,
And I was buying my
man,
homeboy shoes, right? And I was we went to the club and we out here partying up. We doing all of this. And like, I'm talking about, Simone, over the course of 10 years of my life, I could look back and I probably spent more money than I thought I had.
yeah, you really do.
Oh, but
You know
yeah.
what I realized? It's like, it's okay to spend money. Like, that's, you
Yeah.
you should you should enjoy the fruits of your work. But
Yeah.
it feels much better to spend your money after you already know that you've invested. You already know you've put this into your emergency fund. So you're like, okay, if I
Mm,
blow this money, I still
yeah.
have already taken care of my future comfort.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm. Preparing for tomorrow. Like, a lot of people are living in that YOLO, or should I say YOTO, you only live today. No, that doesn't make sense. All right. So, anyways, I said YOTO. I tried to do it on the spot, but something like you only live today. People, TO, yo. Don't worry about it.
I
Anyway,
think it
so
was, yeah.
yeah, you only live today. That acronym. But people live with that mentality, and like, so future planning, like when you say, oh, emergency fund, and when you say, oh, investment, people are like, well, what is that? Like, emergency
Yeah.
fund? Like,
Right.
I found it awesome, and I'll let you talk about emergency funds real quick too. But I find it awesome that, like, my wife, she really got on me about like saving and stuff. But like, that's why I just gave her our savings account. Like, she has access to all of that. Like, right. So
Hmm.
give her the money. I don't know nothing about it until unless I'm just like dying or something. But other than that, she has the financial capacity, or the capacity to not touch and just take out, or like
Mhm.
versus me, my dad always told me to save money, but daddy, you know.
Yeah, it's like you kind of don't really see why. And some people are really good savers, and then some of us
Yeah,
have to learn a lesson. We have to learn a
come on.
lesson first, and then
Yeah.
be like, okay, I can't not save at all.
Right.
I actually learned that lesson myself in business. Just like any small business owners out there who are getting started, I'm still like considered a baby business owner. I've been
Yeah.
in business. This will be my 5th year starting coming up. And one
You
thing
said
I
fifth
learned
year?
was like, yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. So as a new business owner, one thing I learned is like you cannot not save. Like you have
Yeah.
to anything that you're making, you need to save some type of percentage of it because otherwise you'll be like you may be proud of yourself that you've been able to survive as a
Yeah.
business owner or that you've been making money as a business owner, like okay. But then you want to be able to look and say, okay, well what money have I made as a
Mm,
business owner and like, you know, just how much am I making that I can like look at and
yeah.
see. But you if you're
Yeah.
not if you want to grow and you want to stay in business, you have to save a percentage of every receipt that you get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. So that's good wisdom. So let's talk about some financial tips real quick. Let's talk about some financial tips. So
Right.
so
Yeah.
what are like three things that individuals and married couples can do to ease their relationship with the IRS?
Okay. So there's a few things that glad for that question. There's a few things I've noticed that are like simple things, but people when you mess them up, it just makes a whole mess. So first of all, keep your address updated.
Hmm.
One thing that happens in that community a lot more than plenty of other communities is we move a lot all
Yeah.
the time. We're
Facts.
moving, we're moving, we're moving. And so anytime you move, you need to go to the postal or the USPS.com and
Hmm.
go do a change of address. If you're like, for example, living like, for example, when I'm living in Atlanta, I've lived all around Atlanta, but my mom is still in Stone Mountain. So
Yeah.
I might keep that address for certain things that are going to be coming through to make sure that that permanent address is always, you know, is always getting mail from me. A lot of
Yeah.
people get in trouble from getting notices from the IRS and they didn't get the mail. So
Yeah.
that's a
And I
big
need to
thing.
do that. Yeah.
Keep your address updated. And then I would recommend waiting until you receive all of your tax documents before you file.
Mm.
That's something simple, like I said, something
Yeah.
simple.
No,
Just
that's
don't
good
get
though.
too eager because you don't realize that sometimes they'll come back a couple of years later and realize, oh, you forgot this W-2, or basically if they
Mhm.
find any type of difference, then sometimes they will go ahead and send you a letter and say, all right, now you've got to deal with this, and you
Yeah.
could have just waited a couple of extra weeks.
Hmm.
And
That's
then
real.
third, what
No, go ahead.
is
Go
it?
ahead. Go ahead.
All right, so third, paying taxes within a year after a year of it being owed. So the reason I say that is if you get a tax bill in April, you can put on a payment plan, just try to pay it as soon as possible. That's the best
Hmm.
thing. If you have a state taxes, try to pay those as soon as possible. Only because the more that it starts to build up, it's a little harder for you to tell like what you've been paying, what you haven't paid, what's
Yeah.
interest and what's penalties. So, those are the three things that are like really that are kind of simple that you can kind of
Yeah.
try to ease, how much dealing you have with the IRS. And
Okay.
I said three, but mainly obviously get in contact with a tax professional if you have some type of issue. Because
Yeah.
we have ways that we can get in contact with the IRS a lot easier. So you don't have to wait for like an hour and a half, which people
Hmm.
do.
Yeah.
And
Facts.
so yeah, find you a tax professional to clear up things for you.
Well, not fine. You're the one.
Yeah, I mean, I am the one. I'm around. I'm virtual. You see me at Bullseye Taxes. Follow
Yeah,
me.
we're not going nowhere else. Everybody, y'all got to go here. Here is today. Here. All right. Cool. Cool. And I know DJ Davi had mentioned earlier, like, how can we get them Trump taxes? Like,
Ooh,
Trump.
that's the perfect.
Trump. The Trump taxes. We need those Trump taxes.
Them low to no taxes.
Yeah, low to no taxes. How do we get
Hey,
down this way?
it's not even just him. Jay Z said the same thing.
He did say that. I heard it in his song, and I know I'm late, but I heard it. I heard it like loud and clear, and it's pretty much like he said something. What was the line? It was pretty
Then
much
my
like,
account's so good, I'm practically living tax free. You be like,
yeah,
what?
yeah.
What?
What you say?
Like, how much do you live in tax? Who?
Yeah. So do people
Yeah,
like, is that all about tax deductions, like writing stuff off?
yeah. It's all about how you. It's all about how you spend your money. And actually, I'm so glad you asked that. So, um, it's kind of like the way that taxes work in a real quick, easy way, right? When you
Mm-hmm.
work a job, basically they're saying, what is your taxable income? How much income did you make that we can tax? So when you are a W-2 employee, they take your total income, then they take the tax rate, and then they say, well, they give a deduction. Then they take the tax rate and they say, okay, we can tax you on this amount. But
Mm-hmm.
when you have a business or multiple businesses that went into bankruptcy, like Trump,
Mm-hmm.
then you can say, okay, well, I made this money, but then I took this loss, I took that loss, I spent a whole
Mm-hmm.
bunch of money doing all this. And then
Yeah.
you can say, okay, this is actually how much money I really made. And then they'll be like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we're going to tax you based on this. So it's like you're
Mm-hmm.
working and you're getting taxed based on this amount
Right.
because you didn't spend any money here.
Yeah.
But if you
That's
do spend
crazy.
some money here, then they'll tax you based on this amount.
Yeah. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's crazy. So like us common folks who are not, well, I'm a business owner, but those people
Yeah.
who are not a business owner, it's like I think we all should own something. Own
Yes.
something,
Own
you know,
something.
own something. Like
Own something. Do
seriously.
something extra.
Yeah.
I actually had an example because I know that people. So I have an example. For example, if you work and say you're driving every day to work in Atlanta,
Hmm.
you're like, dang, if I could write off this mileage,
Hmm.
back and forth, but you can't deduct those expenses from going to and from work every day. But
Right.
if you teach piano lessons twice a week and
Hmm.
you have an LLC called Piano LLC,
Right.
that's not obviously it's
I
not
like
very
that.
fancy,
Somebody gonna do that
but
right now.
right. So you go teach these lessons twice a week. Now you can go deduct the mileage from these clients' homes that you've been driving to and from every week. And that can be, and now you can deduct the gas that you're spending that may
Hmm.
have related to that mileage. So it's just like doing something extra, even if you're
Yeah.
working a job, just doing something extra that's for you. You can
Hmm.
deduct any type of expenses that are related to that.
Yeah.
You
So
can't do that when you work a job.
what about, so let's say Mr. So and so or Mrs. So and so started Piano LLC, and they work out of a, like maybe a room in their house. Isn't there something with like a percentage of, like, if you have an apartment or a house, like you could claim a percentage of that as
Right.
tax deductible?
Yeah, it's up to 250 square feet of your home that they essentially consider an office.
Mm-hmm.
And you just want to make sure that that's an actual office. You're not like it's not half a playroom and half office, things like
Right.
that. Um, and then from there, then you're able to deduct the different expenses in a ratio to how big your house is to
Mm-hmm.
250 feet. Some of your expenses that go into that. So your telephone, I mean your internet expense, your
Right.
telephone expense, those type of things. So
Food.
it's literally just as soon as you start working for yourself, you're like, oh right.
Right. Because I mean, doesn't groceries count as far as like food, or no, or is that not even like
So
your living,
not
like lunch?
not necessarily, no, not your groceries, but going out to lunch, things like that, any type of entertainment that may be related to business, you can
Hmm.
save those receipts. And if you have
Yeah.
a question, you can ask me, and I'll let you
Yep.
know whether or not it will be deductible.
And y'all got our information right here, and we're
Yeah.
gonna talk about this next part in a little bit. But let me go ahead and put this back up. Hold on. Bam. So, all right, so that was great information. And so people, if you want more information from Simone, please hit her up right on IG, or you have bullseye taxes dot or at gmail.com. I'm over here trying to read this thing moving. I'm over here like, whoa. But but yeah, so check her out, hit her up on Gmail as well, and she can help you out. And we're going to get into her 6-week course in a quick second, because I do want to talk. Well, let's talk about it right now before, let's talk about it right now. So she talked about her desire to help people and to teach people, and she has her own company, she has her own business, and it's 5 years strong. and that's a pivotal place right there, because a lot of people either fail or prevail. Come on, Alan. Poet, come on, give
Oh
me that snap. Give me a
yeah.
snap. They
Woo.
either fail or prevail, at that 5 year mark. So Simone, you have this course that you've been working on, and you're getting ready to launch in December. Could you go ahead and like just introduce that to the audience and let them know what that's about?
Absolutely. So I'm so excited for this course because I realize that, you know, lots of people are looking for some type of side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to have a college degree. You don't have to have prior tax experience. You don't have to have a brick and mortar store. So you don't need to have a lot of capital coming into it. So I really
Mm-hmm.
want to teach people how you can have no prior experience, no brick and mortar store, no business loan. And you can get started and be ready to start with the next tax season that's coming up and be ready to say,
Mm.
I'm a professional. I have my office. I have my resources, and I just want to help people get to a point where they can add a stream of income.
Yeah. That's
Hmm.
awesome. That's awesome. So I'm glad I asked that right now, because we just got finished talking about, like, start something, start a job, do something, but so this is an opportunity that is always present. People always need this done, taxes done. So
Look,
it sounds like a great opportunity.
everybody who works has to file taxes. And the one thing did want to point out that it'll be a 60 course is going to be intimate, so you'll have direct access to me,
Hmm.
which will be important because I'll be working essentially as your mentor, someone that you'll have direct access to and helping you all the way throughout the process to where you're ready to start your business. And you'll be able to come to me with any questions that you like. So it is a very limited seating available, and I'm launching that ASAP. So I would like anyone to stay tuned on my Instagram, my Facebook, and things like that for any information, or email me if you're interested, and we can talk about it. Talk about what your interests are, where you are in the process of starting a new side hustle, and I can make sure that you get what you need in our course.
Yeah. I like that. I
Hmm.
like that. So y'all make sure y'all hit her up for sure, and get that done, because it is needed, and y'all need to get that money. You know what I mean? You got to get that money. Get that
Yeah.
money, honey. so I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying our time. You having a good time? We're still good on time as well. If you have any questions, people, please ask questions. If you have questions, please ask questions. So I wanted to talk to you about this part right here. Okay, so
Uh,
finances, money, the African American community, but overall people in general. You talked about the way, like, using money as a resource, right? I wanted to go
yeah.
back to that, because this is very important for people to understand right now, especially this time of our life. A lot of people are in their mid 20s, late 30s, early 30s, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. We have a range of people who watch this show, but looking at money as a resource, and when I think about this as a resource, is it investing back into your business, or is like, well, if I put money in my emergency fund and my car breaks down, my transmission breaks down, I have
Hmm.
money, or so how what are you saying with that?
Yeah. So it's all of those things.
Yeah.
So, for example, like so when I say money as a resource, that's kind of a mindset thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think of money as a resource, you'll feel more positive about the pursuit of money. You know, like I don't have to go to work. I'm glad to go to work because it's going to allow me to, you know,
Yeah.
um, and so
Yeah.
yeah, in any type of resource that you're thinking. So for example, yeah, I'm using this resource to put into my retirement fund so that I will have some resources when I retire. I can
Right.
live good and I can go to Ecuador.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where
Come
I'm
on now.
going.
Yeah.
Or, okay, I'm putting this extra amount into my emergency fund. And have you ever heard if you save money, money will save you?
Mm-hmm. Come on now.
It's like, oh dang, I would have only
Mm-hmm.
had, or like, okay, I only had 500 left in my checking account, and I would have wiped it out, but I have this emergency fund, so now
Mm-hmm.
I can get this repair done, and I still have my resources for the rest of the week. you know
Right.
it's like those type of things. Like there's plenty of us have gone through situations where it's like, okay, I have this much left in my account, but I'm gonna be straight until da da da. And if it happens, then
Right.
you're like, okay, now I have 1576 left in my account
Right. Come
until,
on now.
and you be like, look, you be
Come
like,
on.
dang, and I still got to go to work for 4 more days across
Right.
town.
I gotta
So
eat.
yeah, so you just realize that like, saving money will save you. And if you just
Yeah.
use it in a way, if you use it in a way that's like looking forward to other opportunities that you can take advantage of with your money, then it'll be better. So even how you mentioned, um, so I've heard a lot of people say it takes no money to make money, or it doesn't take, basically like you don't have to have money to make money. And then plenty of people say it takes money to make money.
Mhm.
Well, I am under the impression that it does take money to make money, but
Yeah.
more so like you can be dead broke, figure out something, start making money, but then you need to start using that money you made to make more
Hmm.
intentionally.
Yeah.
You can't like you're not gonna just your business is not going to just grow just like just out of like
Pure luck.
yeah. You have to like purposely say, okay, well now that I've made this amount, what can I do to put myself in position to make more? And
Mm.
sometimes that's gonna cost money.
Yeah.
Like it's like resources that you might need to buy or program subscriptions or equipment that might make something easier for you and will
Yeah.
free up your time, which is another resource. So it's really just like, and I've realized that in my own being in business is that like, okay, well, I made this amount of money. I should have went on ahead and paid for this or that at that time, but I didn't.
Hmm.
So now I have to go hustle up some more money so I can pay for this other thing that I really need.
Right. Yep. You're right. So you feel that you feel very comfortable with finances and managing finances, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, my computer's dying. My wife, Amber, I
Oh
need
yeah.
the charger. Please come out if you could
Yeah,
hear
look,
me.
one of my AirPods died. You know how they like
Oh
to do.
man, hustle, wife, hustle. Your laptop charger. Y'all can hear her. Which one? Which one, man? What you want, man? Right here. Come on, please. Oh, does it go on this one? So as so Simone, could you tell people more about you as a business owner, that something that they can't find online? Like what is something about you that people won't be able to find online that you want them to know about you as a business owner?
Want to know about me as a business owner that you can't find online? Well, most people don't know that I am 4'11". No,
You're
people.
4'11".
Yes, I'm pretty short. I try to
I
make
couldn't
sure that my
tell.
pictures don't look like that, you
Yeah.
know. But no, I think that really like one of the things that is just makes me unique is my passion and my care for the people I'm working with.
Hmm.
And so it's like getting a tax professional that you know and you can work with is better than going to TurboTax or going to HR Block or Jackson Hewitt.
Yeah.
Because, for example, if I know you and I know that you just got a new job or you just left your job and you're now working 100% self-employed, but I only know that because I follow you on Instagram,
Hmm.
then I'm able to actually reach out and say, hey, I see that you went self-employed. How's that going, by the way? And then I could
Hmm.
say, have you been tracking your expenses? Here's some resources. Rather than you getting to the end of the year and like, okay, TurboTax, I went in there, tried to do everything, and then now you're like, oh, dang, I did have a business this year. And now you're trying to figure it out. You
Yeah.
have somebody that you know that you can reach out to directly and actually let them know, like, these changes have been made. Or I can see
Hmm.
that a change has been made, and I can reach out to you and say, like, let me help you with this.
Yeah.
So it's the personal aspect of it.
Yeah. I like that. That's she's a human, people. She's a human.
Yes, I'm a human. No
She has
bots over
feelings.
here.
She has feelings. But so I have one more other thing I wanted to ask you. Oh yeah. So if someone like loses paperwork, like let's say receipts or something, right? They lose their receipts. Are they still able to claim that, or do they have to have their receipts or proof of a purchase and stuff like that?
So I guess that is one of the other joys of working with an independent tax preparer versus like HR block and things like that. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have receipts going into like H&R Block or Jackson Hewitt, they're probably not going to allow you to make those deductions.
Yeah.
My thing that I usually tell my clients is you need to be able to substantiate this if if the IRS decided to ask you more about it. So
Yeah.
if it's like you have no way at all, like you don't even think I could bring up bank statements. In other words, you've been spending straight cash.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm gonna need you to to come up with some receipts for me. But if you know
Yeah.
you're like, okay, well, most of my money is being spent out of this account for my business stuff, and we'll be able
Mm-hmm.
to go back and find it if it's ever needed, then that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine for me. But a
Yeah.
good thing is having like enough receipts where you can make an estimation.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you don't have every single time you bought gas, you have enough where we could say like, okay, it's about $25 every time you fill up.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good. That's good information right there, folks. So you don't have to. I mean, it'll be good. So keep your receipts, everybody. Every if
Yes.
you have a business, keep your receipts. If you don't have a business, today is the day where you should have had that light bulb click on, because Simone said that you need to have something. Like everybody should have a business. You need to have something.
L
LLC, is that a
L
LLC? L
L
L
L
C.
C.
That's real. So everybody needs to get that LLC. If you're teaching people how to play a guitar, get that guitar LLC. If you're teaching people how to shine floors, get that shine floors LLC. I actually like that shiny floors, shine floors. I don't know. We'll think about that. I'm always trying to come up with a business idea and stuff. That's my problem right there. I have a disease, an entrepreneur disease.
Hey, that's one of those strengths and talents that we need to bring out.
Yeah, I'm always thinking about money, and so does our mutual friend, our friend Jade, tuning in from Atlanta,
Hey, what's up?
ATL.
Hey, woo.
So
Yeah,
so
Jay's my friend who introduced me to Allen. So
yeah,
bless
that
up.
that networking and connection. Look at this. Like Simone, what we were supposed to interview like months ago. I think I think it was
Yeah,
when I first started. Really, it's probably like in that first month or so.
yep,
And we had to move things around. But what I want to say here is networking. Like me and Jay, we worked together down in Florida. Random me getting a job and having to go all the way down to Florida, but I met her there and she hated me at first, but now we're best friends. We're cool. And but her connecting me with Simone was really dope. And I had to bring her on. I had to bring Simone on. So Jay, shout out to you. Appreciate you. So
truly,
the
true.
Shay says, shaking my head, peeps always hating like that. Yeah, when we talking about elevating, people don't want to see you elevate, you know. So yeah, we
Hey,
already
that's
went through that, degrees. So like we said earlier, degrees are for corporations, certifications are for people. And our
thank
young listener here, Brendan, he is in high school. College isn't made for everyone. And also don't forget about college debt. That's a fact. We don't want to forget
yep.
about noted. So I was trying to see if we have any questions here. If we have any questions for Miss Simone here. Simone, talk about how important the census is. Oh, the
Oh
census.
my gosh. Well, there's a limit to what I can say here, but I mean, I think that it's important, guys, that we be counted. And why do I say that is because there's been so many years, so many centuries that we were who we were and how we were counted was depending on someone who didn't care nothing about us and didn't care nothing about our representation. So it was very
Mm-hmm.
easy for them to just be like, oh, I mean, it's kind of dark down that way, so I'm not even gonna go down that way.
Yeah.
Whole family's just not getting counted over here, right? And then it's
Yeah.
like, oh well, they look kind of dark, so they must be free blacks. Oh, they
Mm,
look kind of light, so I guess they might be like Indians, right?
yeah.
And so it's like, well, now that we're doing it in a better way, and they're asking you, what do you want to classify it as? Go ahead and let them know what you classify as, and don't, you know, like if you don't want to be called black, then don't classify yourself as black, but allow someone to actually know that.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm
What
not
do you want
black.
to be? Are you black? What are you?
Oh man, dang, I probably should have thought about that before I talked about it. You know what?
She said,
I
"What am I?"
Yeah, no, I actually have a friend who talks a lot about being Aboriginal.
Mm-hmm. Aboriginal.
Yeah, like a native person to the Americas.
Yeah, I like that.
Because yeah, so it's a lot. Look, I it's all about we gotta learn our history, learn where we're
We
from.
do. Because I
But yeah,
mean,
like
okay,
you
I
know,
didn't want to go ahead.
it's like some people can trace their roots directly back to Africa,
Mm-hmm.
but then some of us can't, or we'll trace it back to we know that there's a tribe somewhere that we're part of, but it's like it'll kind of get whispered about. You don't really know which tribe, but you always heard that your great grandma had, that
Right.
kind of stuff. It's like
Mm-hmm.
those are not myths. Like realistically, your great grandma was trying to tell you our people are native.
Yeah.
But what people
My,
don't know, like how she was mentioning the census, is that there was a time period where they made like a criminal for Native Americans to call themselves Native Americans
mm,
because
mm,
white people wanted to be considered Native Americans. So if you imagine
mm.
that if your kids can be killed for calling themselves Native, aren't you going to tell them to call themselves black? You're going to
Yeah.
make sure they don't get killed. Don't be going to school calling yourself Native. Don't be
Right.
telling nobody you Native. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And so like a lot
Man.
of things got clumped into black,
Mm.
clumped into African American, clumped into this and that. And
Yeah.
if it's like if you have heard in your family all this time that the tribe that they remember that they've passed down these stories through it is in that,
Mm-hmm.
then it's a chance that your family is actually native to the um the
The
the land they
Americas.
call North America.
Mm-hmm. Because
And
some
we did it.
people
Yeah,
didn't come from the Africa.
yeah, some people's families were not on slave ships.
Yeah. And that's man, come on now. See, look, you about to have us on a whole nother podcast, cause
Look, I'm trying to say, I got a lot to say.
but that's real though. Like not in Simone, like okay, people. I know we've talked about finance. Y'all got to give us a break now. Give us a break. We're talking life right here. This is
Yeah.
real talk. But it's so crazy because I'm from Charleston. I'm from Somerville, South Carolina, near Charleston. People get upset when I say I'm from Charleston. I was born in Charleston. Give me a break. But I'm from Somerville, South Carolina, and there's a lot of plantations in Somerville, Charleston area, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I battled a lot because I was like, man, all right, I know I'm a black guy, like I know I'm black, but like, who am I? Like, where am I from? Like, where are my people from? And like, I'm asking cousins, uncles,
Oh
aunts,
no,
people don't know. Are you good? Are you good? You good?
I can't hear you.
Oh, you got to restart it because you had a phone call
Oh
probably.
no, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Get back in, come back out. Oh, let me see. Hold on one second. One second. Let me see. Let me tell her.
Oh,
Come back in.
I'm like, what happened?
You hear me? Come back in. Yeah. Log out and come back in. So, ladies and gentlemen, Simone Daniel, she's getting her stuff situated, so y'all just give her some time. But we're about to wrap it up. It's been a great interview. It's been a great podcast. And let me do this. I'm gonna kick her out. Bam. If you want to prevent this person. Bam. So I just kicked her out. Hopefully she can log back in. I don't know what it's like after that. But you guys are listening to me and Simone Daniel. She is the owner of Bullseye Taxes, and she's based out of Atlanta, and she has a course coming up in the beginning of December. There she goes again. Bam. Are you good?
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever
These
if you got a phone
guys are
call, if you
so, no, they're so sensitive. Like, try to make you a
okay.
little more snug, and then it's doing all this other stuff.
Yeah. It's all good. We all good. Hey, look, ain't nobody, we ain't worried about nobody out here, cut. But so man, what was I about to say? I was about to say something.
You're talking about being from Charleston,
Oh
South Carolina.
yeah,
How
yeah,
there's a lot.
Charleston and all that stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So my grandmother. I remember my dad would be like, "No, we not." But my grandma told me back in the day when I was in elementary school that she had Cherokee in her, and I swear, if you look at my grandma, you can see it, right? And so I was like, man, did my family come from the west coast of Africa, or were we people that were already here? And there were some descendants from Africa who also made it with
Yeah.
the Native Americans that were here. So even before that, so like there's just a lot that could have happened before. I think everybody sees their story as coming from the west coast of Africa over here to the east coast, and that's where black people started. But no, people, that's not
Right.
where we started. Okay, I just wanted to say that.
It's always pretty much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's always pretty much like a lot of people are like, oh well, first came slavery, and then the whites freed the blacks, and then now they became Americans. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, what did we do? What did we do before, or just to actually open up the question of like, okay, where were we before we came here? But
Mm-hmm.
it's like there's a purpose in them making us all identify with African American, because it's like, well, then
Yeah.
they can kind of get out of having to take the ownership of the fact that this was our land. A lot of us here are actually native to the land. Think about how they gave what was it called, reparations to natives.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine if they really were allowing more of us to actually really know that our family bloodline is from here. How much more
Yeah.
reparations they would have to give out?
That's true. They got us thinking about
Instead, it's
slave
like, are you African
reparations.
American? Okay.
Yeah. They got us thinking about slave reparations, but I mean, there are reparations that you probably qualify for because you're not a descendant of slaves. Some people aren't. Like everybody wants all the black people on the East Coast to think that they're descendants of slaves, and that it's not a bad thing if you are. But what we're saying is like we have to know who we are, and that gets back into how we create this community of brokenness, like of poverty. Like we exist in this community, and we have embraced it because of the culture that America has said that black people belong to. We belong to the poor. We belong to the outcast, the out of order, the can't be taken nowhere. You acting black, you talking black. But like we do
Yes.
so many, we put many negative connotations on being black, that when we are professionals or when we have this show and we're having a good time, it's like, oh, they're being black.
Yeah.
No, no. But anyway, so
That
we
was
will
such a good point.
yeah.
I gotta
Go
mention.
ahead.
I went to a networking event one time
Uh-huh.
at. Well, I know you're not from Atlanta, but it's called Sweet Lounge.
Yeah.
And if anybody's from Atlanta, y'all know it's like a networking event at Sweet Lounge. But I mean,
Yeah.
yes, and it was kind of like a party. Like it was like around happy hour. They
Mm-hmm.
had music going. It was, they had some vendors out there. And I remember this guy was like, "This isn't what I'm used to for a networking event." And I'm like, "Oh, well, this is Atlanta."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you can't even network because the music's on and da da da."
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's in Atlanta or with black people, we're willing to talk more because we're feeling our vibe, and
Mm-hmm.
we're getting that music in our bones and our
Right.
soul. So we're feeling like we want to talk. So for
Yeah.
us, that is a great way for us to network. We network at our cookouts. We network at our basketball games
Yep.
when things are hype. You're
Mm-hmm.
feeling good. You want to talk about yourself.
Yeah.
But it's just different. Like with black people, it's not unprofessional. It's just we doing us.
We doing us. And it's real, and it's okay to be a person of color and to be confident, and I've had to get comfortable talking I guess publicly about being black, because I was always like, man, people are going to be like, oh, he's one of those. Like I feel like if I mention the word black, people are already thinking like, oh, what is he going to say now? What do he got to
Oh
say now?
Lord,
Like it's not it's so terrible. Like I've
don't
seen
be
people.
scared.
Yeah, so I'm not anymore. Like I got to the point where, I fought overseas for this country, and to think that someone could look at me, someone from any other culture could look at me and be like, oh, that's just a black man, like he has no voice, or like for someone to think that without even thinking like, oh, this dude actually laid his life down
Yeah,
and did that, so I think black people have just as, and when I say black people, just people of color in general for right now, have a right to be Americans. We have a right to be Americans, and what we know as American is an American. This is just a colonized world. But and it's not a white versus black thing. It's just education. We have to be We
Yeah.
have to be intelligent on these things because white friends, you have to know these things as well so that you won't be offended by a black person's personality because they're loud or because they're this or like we have our own cultural behaviors.
Yeah.
We handle our businesses in a very cultural way. Like I got DJ Davi on the ones and twos on my
Yeah.
podcast. Like we doing that.
It's
So
in us. It's in
it's
us.
in us. So people just love your fellow black people and
Yeah.
and support them. That's what we were trying to
See?
say.
Love.
Love. You see the word love, LOVE. And
Yeah.
Mr. Speller has a question. What's the best tax software to use?
Yeah. I saw that question. I really like Tax Dragon Pro. That's what I've been
Tax
using. It's a very full service software, and I would encourage you to check it out.
Tax
If you'd like to
Dragon
know like a
Pro.
contact for them, I can get you in contact with them. If you get in contact with me on one of my social media pages or something like that, I can let you know how to get in contact with that team. And
Okay.
that's actually a black owned software company. So
Word.
yes.
So y'all make sure y'all do that. Y'all make sure y'all do that. Brendan says I'm black and I'm a good 20% mixed with Puerto Rican and a little Indian. That's maybe why my hair is so curly. I don't
Yeah.
want to hear all that, Brendan. You got good hair. Get out of here with all that, man. I got that Carolina hair. I got that hair that that catches flies and mosquitoes and stuff
What?
like
Who are you
like that.
telling?
That hair that don't do
I can't
well.
walk under no spider web.
Right? Yeah. It's just it just goes with you
That
everywhere
thing
you
will be
go.
right there.
But yeah, so all right. So Simone, like I've really enjoyed having you on this podcast. And
Me too.
if there's any like closing words you want to say, oh, you know what? Could you just give our people and the people that are listening right now, could you give people encouragement about their purpose and about, overcoming obstacles maybe? Could you give us, this is I know she did not practice this, folks, but I want you to speak from the heart and just
Yeah.
speak to those people who are out here trying to live in their purpose, but maybe times are hard,
Mhm.
money's low, whatever their situation is.
Yeah. You know what? I tend to be good with words, I've heard. So I'm going to go ahead
Okay,
and freestyle it.
let's go.
But I'm glad it's my closing word because that's what I essentially feel like my overall purpose is to teach and empower.
Yeah.
And I challenge that. I put that towards the black community. And one of my vehicles is through finances and financial health and wealth. But I would like everyone to know that whatever you wanted to be when you were little, those things that you just easily seem to excel at, that everyone's always complimenting you about, your organization skills, how you make people feel better, how you have a storybook voice, those things that you've always felt came naturally to you, those are still in you. Those are the things that if you pay attention to, those will lead you to your purpose. The things that make you feel good when people say, oh, or the things that make you surprised when someone says, oh, I always liked how you've been able to do this. And you're like, oh, I didn't even
Mm.
realize that even stood out to you. Start exploring those things more and never be afraid to live in your purpose, because one thing I learned from Mr. Steve Harvey, y'all, is if God wants you to have it, then, or excuse me, if you can see it, then God has it for you. So
Mm.
he doesn't torture his babies. So if
Mm-hmm.
you have a vision for something, you have a desire for something, you have a desire to live a certain way, God didn't give you that desire for nothing. He
Mm.
gave you that desire because he already has it for you. And he needs you to walk towards your purpose so that you can actually fulfill those things. Because as you're working towards your purpose, you will bless his children. That's what you have to do. Okay. So working towards your purpose will make it so that the way that you're earning money is bringing you joy. It'll make it so that the way you spend your money is bringing you joy because it's working towards your purpose. And as you bring joy to people around you, then you'll just see that your community starts to grow. Your
Mm.
sense of community, your sense of value. And that's what I really want to instill in people. That's why I want to teach children. And I mean, I want to teach children who are like 10th, 11th, 12th grade,
Yeah.
because by that time they start getting bored. And I think if we just started to hone in a little bit more on like what really makes you, like what made you put that you want to be a doctor at 5 years old, and just kind of delve more into like, is it because you like science, or is it because you like helping people, or is it because you like wearing uniforms, or is it because you like, and try to just find people's natural strengths and talents, so that once we get to a point where we have to start making money as a resource, we can start doing that in a way that makes us feel like our purpose is being fulfilled.
Awesome, man. That was lovely. I like that right there. Everybody, let's get some snaps. Go ahead, give yourself some snaps. Go ahead, give yourself some snaps. Girl.
Thank you.
Come on, sister girl. Come on. No, that was dope, man. And like I was about to get into a little church dance in a little bit. You was all talking about some joy. Come on. And I was just talking about because you get joy like you just had me so excited about like being a business owner and living in my purpose and using my money for my purpose. Yeah. Man, that's so powerful. And I hope people got that. I hope people got that. Lee Jenkins, Semper Fi. Feeding us what we need. Keep fighting. What'd you say?
I'm so excited that he tuned in. Like, I love the support.
Oh, what up, Lee? Hey, Lee, Semper Fi, my devil dog. Hey. He has a Marine Corps logo right there. If y'all are wondering why I'm barking at him and doing stuff like that. Brendan says, thank you so much for their encouraging words, Miss Danielle's.
You're welcome.
Brendan has a podcast too. Maybe he'll bring you on that one. He's hey. But yeah, so wait on in the backdrop right here. Don't go nowhere. And after I close out, I'll come back and talk to you. Okay. All right. Y'all say goodbye to Simone. She did a good job. Like, y'all make sure y'all go follow her. Please go follow her today. Drop in her DM, say what's up. Follow her, and make sure if you guys want to be entrepreneurs and start your own business, what should they do?
Start now.
Oh, yeah. And contact Simone. She's like, no, but yeah, start now. Do something. Simone, you need to get shirts that say do something. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to come out with shirts that say do something, and we'll support that right there. DJ Davi says, thank you. And Lee says, Superwoman. That's right. Mr. Speller says, great job. I will follow. That's what I'm loving the support, man. Y'all are so awesome. Wifey Amber says, great interview.
I love it.
Thank you all. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are making my day. Y'all I'm so happy. I'm so proud. But Simone, you did a great job and it's well deserved. So I'll be back with you shortly. Okay.
All right, great.
All right. Simone Daniels, everybody. Simone Daniels. So this has been another episode of the Purpose Pod, purposely driving you forward with power and love. Man, look. So this was a dope interview. I hope that if you tuned in at the last minute, that you go back even all the way to DJ Davi with the 10-minute mix. We was jamming to that. And then when I brought on Simone Daniels, please go back and watch this interview. Please go share this video right now. While you're looking at me right now, just hit the share button. You don't even got to post nothing. You don't got to say nothing. Just hit the share button and just share that right now. We would appreciate it because the Purpose Pod is for those who are living with a purpose, like Simone Daniels. So you guys make sure that if you are interested in starting your business, you sign up for that 6-week course in December with Simone. You could email her today at bullseyetaxes@gmail.com. So this has been another episode of the Purpose Pod. I am your host, Allen Levi Simmons. If you love the Purpose Pod, please go subscribe on YouTube right now. Subscribe on YouTube, and we will be back shortly. Well, not shortly, but like next week. So love you guys. Stay blessed. Peace.
Drop the bass.